This is a JTP audio podcast.
Welcome back to Flight in a Pint. I'm Walter Wilson.
I'm Jason Portizo.
And we go out to breweries to talk to the people who make the beer where they make it. And today, we are at Dr. Brewlittles in Mapleshade.
We got Jack here. How you doing?
Good, man. How are you guys?
Oh, doing great.
All right.
We're about to drink a whole bunch of beer. That's how I'm doing.
It's going to be even better.
Tell me about the place. Give me the story that led us up to where we are right now.
So, Dr. Brewlittles, we opened up on Labor Day weekend this past year. So we're still pretty new, only about 3 months old. We were supposed to be open in March, but the whole thing of a small global pandemic held us up just a tad bit. This was kind of like a very, short planning thing that just kind of came into effect. I never thought I'd want to work in beer, ever. I have degrees that are not in beer. I was in IT predominantly, and I was like, I'm going to go move to California and work for Blizzard, and that's my goal, and that's where I'm going to be, and that'll be my life. But about a year and a half ago, my friend Chris, who owns Mount Laurel Animal Hospital and Pensacola and a few other animal hospitals out here, was like, I want to open a brewery. And I was like, I don't. Like, that's not what I want to do. He's like, no, it'd be cool. We should do it. And I was like, it's just, I don't know if it's for me. Like, I have a really good job. And before I knew it, he had like attorneys and we were looking at buildings. And then before I knew it, I left my job in October. So it was very much of like, do this. And I was like, no. And he's like, yes. And I went, okay. And I figure I'm 29. If I'm going to do something that's not going to work out, I might as well do it while I'm young. But yeah, so he just kind of approached me with the idea and we just got to planning. And over the course of about a year or so, I was doing 2 jobs at once and planning this place and getting the space up and finding a building. We had help from, my friend Jeff and Matt who were involved in this project and our contractor Brendan. And so it all just kind of like fell into place in a weird way. Like I didn't really feel like anything was like a super struggle to do stuff. It just kind of was like, this is an idea. And then before I knew it, we were getting set to open. So it was a very quick process. It's weird.
So what kind of happened to you?
Pretty much. I think Chris kind of had this idea in his head for a while, and then he just kind of was like, you're doing this with me, or I'm not doing it. And I went, I guess I'm doing it then, because Chris's favorite thing, I like to say some people collect like cars and glasses and stuff like that. He collects like businesses and people. He's very good at it. He knows how to run a business, and he's a great boss, but he just got his hooks into me, and that was kind of it. We've been friends for a while, but he definitely kind of talked me into it.
Collecting people should be a little bit difficult with the plastic bags that you have to put them in and the grading and everything.
Yeah. Because you have like your A's, your 1 through 10s. If you have bent corners and stuff like that, frayed hair, like you don't want any of that. It's really going to affect
Get your people
price.
PSA graded.
Yeah, and if the person's shadowed or shadowless, like it's a whole thing. So.
Now, Dr. Brewlittles, I'm assuming it's a play on Dr. Doolittle, but does this mean you can talk to your beers?
Yeah, I mean, after a few of them, I think I could talk to them. My first one, I might not try it, but after a couple of them, I definitely do. My wife actually thought of the name, funny enough. So my parents, when I first told them this idea, were like, about it. And then my mom, she was super on board and we got really supportive about it. But she thought, with Chris being a veterinarian and me working in the vet field before I started back in IT, she was like, why don't you call it Dr. Doolittles? Because Chris is a vet. And I'm like, there's no way I'm going to call a brewery Dr. Doolittles. I'll get copyright slammed so fast. She actually searched, and I think the trademark for the name was actually available. I think it was right in between like the old movie and then like the new one with Robert Downey coming out. So I could have had the Dr. Doolittle trademark because I think it lapsed and no one saw it. And my mom saw it. She's like, look, it's available. And I went, oh my God. But so I came home that night and I was talking to my now wife about it, Casey. And she's like, well, why don't you call it Dr. Brewlittles? And I was like, oh shit, that's a really good idea. Like they're really going to like that. Like I hate you for being so good. And so the name just kind of stuck and Chris liked it and Jeff and Matt liked it. And the doggone good beer, I just kind of came up with, after we had the theme and got a logo made by we had like a contest where it was like a bunch of freelance graphic artists could submit logos and we just picked one. And that's kind of how we got the logo and the name. I mean, it definitely ties in with Chris being a veterinarian. We are dog friendly and sort of animal themed. We're not trying to hit it too hard on the nose, but it's definitely, centered around Chris being a veterinarian, me working in the field beforehand, and having a lot of friends that do that too.
Nice. So with a lot of animal-themed beers, let's get right into the flight here.
I know.
So are we starting off with one of the animal-themed ones?
No. So funny enough, now that I talked about being super animal-themed, I didn't give you a single. I gave you one animal-themed beer. Okay. So I was between the third one would have been the Barktoberfest, which is our Oktoberfest, or the new one we just did with the Maple Shade Lager. I figured it'd be neater to have the beer for the town. But the first one, I guess, actually, no, I take that back. I give you 2 animal-themed beers. The first one's Doc's Orders, so that's an American Pilsner we do.
Okay.
Doc is my brewer's late cat. So we all kind of, our big thing was, I told Chris when I first did this, I want to name a beer after my cat, much to my wife's chagrin, because we also have a dog and her cat and a snake. And I was like, they don't need names. They're fine. But my sweet, sweet boy Grog is our second one. But we all, like, Chris got G&G Bubbly, which is our seltzer we do. I got Grog's Paradise, which is, not to brag, but our bestseller and one of our highest rated beers. So that felt pretty good. And then Josh, our brewer, got Doc's Orders. He's Josh from Philadelphia. He's brewed before. He started out in Duck Rabbit, which is North Carolina. And then he came here and was brewing for St. Benjamin's. And before St. Benjamin's was Human Robot. When St. Benji's closed down, he went to work at Mainstay, and then we picked him up. So he's been brewing for us since we opened up.
Cool. Nice.
Yeah, so he does, in my opinion, really good work. Like, he makes, my big thing is not to do anything like super crazy. So I like doing like a beer really well, and I feel like Josh does that very well, which is why we're kind of on the map as much as we are. But
Good.
the Pilsner I'm a big fan of.
It is a very good Pilsner. Nice, crisp, and clean.
Yeah, not too fancy, little hops on the end.
You don't see a lot of Pilsners with like flavor. Like
Yeah.
the Pilsner is like the first beer to taste watery. This doesn't do that at all.
I think like not a lot of places, one, do Pilsners, and two is, I thoroughly believe in like a brewery thing, like the stepping stones of like, my dad was like Coors Light, Mick Ultra and stuff like that. And it's like one of the things I always talk about when I talk to people is that the reason I don't think he liked craft beer in the beginning was because, when it was first coming out, people would be like, oh, here, this is craft beer. And it'd be like a 7% bitter IPA. And like, yeah, that was in its infancy stages, but like he'd go from a Mick Ultra to this like 7% 4-hopped IPA. And he's like, this is terrible. I hate craft beer. And like wouldn't drink it anymore.
Right.
But now it's like, oh, first try this Pilsner. And if you like the Pilsner, drink that for a little bit. And then try like the lager. And then maybe try a darker beer. And then work your way up to these IPAs. But it's all stepping stones, man. It has to be available to everyone. You can't just say craft beer is just 8% beer and expect people to like it.
Right.
No, you give them something that they that is familiar to them, and then show them the difference between like a mass produced light beer that you can get a 30-pack for $6.
We get people who come in all the time. They're like, I drink Bud Light. And I'm like, there's nothing wrong with that. They're like, what do you have that's like Bud Light? And I said, this is like Bud Light. And I have no problem saying that Pilsner is like Miller Lite and Bud Light. It's a good version of it. It's not this
great.
watered down. It's still the same crisp, clean Pilsner. It's 5%, so it's low ABV.
Sure.
But, I mean, that's what you want is you want people coming and saying, I only drink Bud Light, and then moving them to this.
And good for them for even like coming into a brewery and even saying that, and
Yeah.
and wanting to explore beyond that.
I think it's important. I mean, I grew up, drinking like I went to school in Scranton, so I was drinking Jenny's and Busch Light and Natties and stuff like that. And I'll be honest, like if I golf, like I still drink Rolling Rocks and Mick Ultras and stuff because I can't drink an 8% beer for 18 holes. I'll be done by hole 6.
No.
I mean, my score probably won't be affected at all because I'm already terrible. But I won't survive.
Yeah, no, and as a musician, I drink bar tap stuff all the time. Like I live off of like Blue Moons mostly. And
Yeah, and there's- we did a
I will
wit
never
beer.
be above a Yingling.
Yeah. Oh God, the Yingling's my go-to if I'm at a bar and like I don't want to drink IPAs because the other thing about IPAs too is a lot of places have like non-IPAs out of their 12 taps. Blows your tongue away. You have 2 or 3 of them, they all taste the same. If I go to a bar, I'm like, let me get a Yingling because I know it's going to be a Yingling. There's nothing wrong with those big products. They're big for a reason. They're a good standard that is always going to be the same every time you go back to it. It's not like it fluctuates or anything like that.
Right.
So, is there any possibility in the future that you might just adopt new pets for the option of creating new names for beer, maybe like a rat for a Roche beer or something like
See,
that?
my wife would love that because she already wants like the chicken. She wants this thing called a muntjac. It's a deer. Like she's all about like having all these animals, which I know I'm gonna have to take care of eventually. But
it.
yeah, I always tell my wife she can't bring anything else home, or I'm gonna have to give it away. But now that you brought that up, and if she hears it, she'd be like, "Oh, now I can bring animals home and name them after beer, and you probably won't get rid of them." So thank you for that. I appreciate
Hey,
it.
no problem. I'm always trying to help.
Yeah, really. Thank you so much.
All right. What do we have in number 2 slot?
So number 2 is my favorite, our bestseller, and named after my sweet, sweet boy. So this is Grog's Paradise. This is their 7% New England Hazy IPA. Good citrus, grapefruit
Definitely hazy.
start.
That out.
Oh yeah, that thing
Check
ain't.
that out. I was going to put that right on
Yeah,
the camera there.
that ain't filtered.
This would be a great opportunity to remind you guys listening to the podcast to go check us out on YouTube so you can actually see this beer too.
All these beautiful faces and the beer. The beer's secondary to our beautiful faces. But yeah, this is our top beer right now. It's highest rated. It's our
great.
highest seller. And it's also named after my cat, which is very much a humble brag for every time we talk to like me and Chris and Josh go, yeah, our number 1's still Grog's. Weird. Oh man. But he's my little cat. He was what I had before I met my wife, and then my wife brought Zoo into my house. But I named a beer after him, and it definitely feels good that it's doing the best for us.
Did Grog get a big head about it?
No, he actually has a very tiny head. He's a big cat with a very tiny head, so it's actually quite funny. But yeah, so that's
Did he get an ego from being the top selling beer?
yeah. I tell him all the time. Every time my wife comes in, she always tells me to name a beer after like we also have a dog Brisbane and a cat Sydney, and every time like I'm walking after the brewery, I go, there's my best seller, and I pick him up, and she hates it. She's not a fan of it. When she goes, when are you gonna name after beer after Sydney? And I said, I don't know. When you open a brewery, you can name a beer after Sydney.
Fair.
You hear that, Sydney?
Yeah.
Now,
Get a job.
Yeah.
Is Grog's coloring anything similar to this beer by any chance?
No, he's actually a gray and black like tabby. Oh yeah, he's the sweetest boy in the entire world. I could probably show you. There you go. Well, that's a kitten photo of him. That's my wife and my cat right there on my watch.
That's
How
adorable.
cute.
Oh, he's the best, and my wife's okay, but the cat's definitely the best.
We'll pay the cat tax on our Instagram. You follow us at Pint and a Pint, and we'll have Jack send over some cat pictures.
I'll give you plenty of cat photos.
Pay the cat tax.
I have to scroll to find a picture of my wife and my dog, but you can immediately open my phone and find
Same.
cat tags.
I have more pictures of other people's dogs than I do of my girlfriend.
100%. Yeah, this beer I was proud of. We use a yeast from Imperial, and I mean, I don't know, it just turned out really well. And this is actually Josh's, to his credit, his first hazy like that he brewed himself, like his own recipe and stuff. Because he's not like a big hazy guy, but he understands that. Like, so he's a big like Pilsner lager West Coast dude. But we both have an understanding. Like, I'm not a big dark beer guy, but we both know that like certain beers are going to sell. And like, while he might not drink Grogs in the regular, he still makes a really good version of the hazy IPA. It sells well, and he still drinks it. Like, it's still a good beer, and that was important for us. Like, I don't drink a lot of dark beers, but I know it's important to have at least a dark beer or two on tap because people are going to go like, what's your dark beer? And if I go like, nothing, they'll be like, okay, bye. And I just don't want that.
Get on Untapped. No dark beer here.
Oh, don't get me started on it.
1 star.
I don't like porters, 1 star. Like, oh, cool. Thank you for taking out your phone, ordering a beer you didn't like, and rating a beer that you don't drink. I like Untapped for like seeing trends and stuff like that, and like having an updated tap list for us. Like, I enjoy that. The thing with Untapped though is that there's no way to like have that person who just wants to like bomb ratings. If it's a bunch of them, you can kind of get them taken away, but you'll get one person who will be like, because we're new too. We're only 3 months old, so I don't have it. I think I have like, even for me, it's a lot. I think I have like 12 or 1,300 ratings right now, which is a lot for 3 months.
Yeah.
But you'll get a beer that will just come out, and if 5 people get 5 stars and one person says 1 star, don't like porters, it bombs the rating of it. And I don't really care about the ratings. I care more about like if 1,000 people rate on my beer eventually, and 900 of them say, I would love this to be hoppier, we'll make the beer a little bit hoppier. Like, I trust that we're making a good product, but there's no problem with having customer feedback. I don't know. Just seeing like the ratings on it, like, and people just like only drinking beers that are high rated, I feel like you just don't drink enough beer.
I don't think anybody drinks enough beer.
I personally don't think you should follow ratings to go
don't
try a
think at
beer.
all.
Just if it sounds like something you want to try, go try it.
Yeah, 100%.
So you mentioned before you're a golfer. What's your handicap?
Really high. It's not great. It's probably about a 15.
I don't even know like what's good and bad.
So
I
let's
just know it's
say,
a thing.
yeah. So I just played Pennsauken. It's my favorite course. Shout out to Pennsauken Country Club because they are a muni course. I knew it's 34 degrees out, so I shouldn't have to pay a lot of money to play because I was freezing my nuts off. But I paid like $40 to play 18 holes of golf today with a cart, and I met 2 really good dudes. Because I like golfing when other people are playing. Like, I booked a tee time by myself. I do all the time. Because I play with my brother-in-law a lot, but he works Monday through Friday. My hours are, the weekend. So when we usually could play, I can't play anymore. So I specifically look for tee times that if it's 4 people per tee time, it only says like 1 to 2 available. So I know I'm golfing with 2 other people because I like meeting people. But course is like a 72 par, and I think I shot an 8-9 today actually. So I was 17 over par today, so I was a little bit higher. And I have good days and bad days. I've been in the mid to low 80s. I've also been above 100. So it just depends on either how much I'm drinking or how interested I am in the course.
I think there was one time where I actually might have made contact with the ball.
Okay.
That's
Yeah,
important.
that
That's
was
a big part of golf is making contact with the ball. It's really hard to play if you don't.
It's, I know it's hard to
Yeah.
play. I did not.
It's real difficult.
I didn't say I did great.
When it comes to golf, there's something big I'm missing. I go to
club?
driving well, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I go to driving ranges and I could drive the ball. It's fun. I go play mini golf and I could putt, but I don't I can't seem to figure out how to do everything in between.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I only started playing last year, so we got married, me and my wife, last May, and I had really never picked up clubs beforehand. Like, you go to a driving range or Top Golf or mini golf and stuff like that, and that's fine. But I picked up the clubs for I bought a full set for the first time last May because of my brother-in-law playing so much, and I love it the most and also hate it the most. It is the most infuriating thing to play, but then I have one good swing and I'm like, I love golf so much. And then I have one bad swing, I'm like, this sport sucks. Like, it's tough, but it hooks in me deep. That's all I want to do. Like I said, it was 34 degrees out at one point. I was still out there in just Under Armour and pants, just golfing away.
You've only been golfing for a short time, but is there any like one or two golf courses that you really want to go to?
There's a couple. So I turn 30 next year, and so my plan for my 30th, all things considered with what's going on now, is to have like a big golf trip. So originally I wanted to go to Pebble Beach, which is a top 3 course in the world right now as a public golf course, but it's very expensive to play. I get like 2 rounds in. Not a ton of people want to go to California. I mean, I have family out there, but so I'm actually going to go to Pinehurst, which is North Carolina, and do like Tobacco Road and stuff. So we're going to go play like Pinehurst, which is like a award-winning course, and then go play like Tobacco Road and Pine Valley and stuff like that. And I don't know, like those are always really cool courses to play, like those big courses. But like there's also courses around here that are like super hidden gems, like Pine Valley, which is in New Jersey, is like the #1 rated public course in America, and it's in Jersey. I mean, or public or private golf course in America, and it's in Jersey. But like Pine Valley would be awesome to play. But I like playing like courses like Pennsauken, Ramblewood. I prefer public courses because I can meet people like aren't as serious about it. Like I get out there not to, make my score lower. Like it's just gotten lower because of time and me playing so much. I get out there to like meet people and have beers and hit a golf ball and like just de-stress. Like I never understood people who take it super seriously and try to follow all the rules. Like it's just not fun that way.
So you wouldn't consider like entering a competition or anything?
I definitely would, but I would be like the John Daly of it, where I'd just be like smacking the ball. Because I'm a big dude, so I could hit it pretty far. But I would definitely take the John Daly approach thing and just be like, drinking Diet Cokes. I don't smoke, but I would chain smoke for John Daly. Just gripping it and ripping it, dude.
Now, being a beer guy and a golf guy, like how important is it to be drunk while you're playing?
Very important. I don't play sober golf. I mean, I start sober, and then hole 2. I always play the first hole sober because I always say first hole, worst hole. So I always play the first hole sober, and then the second hole hits, just boom, you're cracking open a beer. And I try not to go too crazy because I also do like somewhat being okay at the sport.
Do you get that bell curve of like?
Oh, for sure. There's definitely of like, oh my god, I'm doing amazing, and it's immediate though. It's not like you can kind of see it coming. It'll be like one hole you do great, and the next like 4 holes you're like, what happened?
It's a bell curve, but the bell's cut in half.
Yeah,
just get that sharp drop.
Yeah, it's like the Liberty Bell.
There's only a handful of sports that you can play when you're encouraged to be drunk while you're playing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could do all sports drunk, but you just probably shouldn't.
Most of them you should, especially like stuff like baseball where you have like
a
projectile careening at you. But like
I wouldn't say like drive a race car drunk. That's probably not also great.
But luge might be fun.
Luge would probably.
Right. I'm thinking more like bowling, where
I'm also decent at bowling.
You literally like the same machine that you input your score in has a button that has someone bring you a beer.
Yeah, you don't have to go get it.
Right. Like it's.
Bar sports are those like bar sports stuff like that. Like you give me, I'm a good bowler. You can usually bowl between like a 180 and like a 200.
All right.
And then I'm decent at golf. I'm decent at darts. Like you give me some pool.
Darts is another good drunk sport.
I can do stuff that like if I can eat nachos and just like crush booze.
Oh yeah.
Totally on board for that
that's sport. Yeah.
100%. That's why I play softball. I don't play baseball. I play softball.
I'm something of an athlete myself.
Yeah.
What is your favorite golf movie?
I mean, everyone's going to say Caddyshack, and I probably am too, just because it's such a good movie. Like, not Billy Madison.
Happy Gilmore.
Happy Gilmore is a good movie, but Caddyshack is just a classic. I also am a huge Bill Murray fan, and he has Murray Golf too. He does he has a bunch of golf clubs and stuff that I own. But I mean, Caddyshack's a classic. You can't mess with the classics.
I do like that one, but I like Tin Cup as well.
Tin Cup's good. Tin Cup's definitely up there because there's only like 5 golf movies, so it's top 5. But for the most part, like I mean, Caddyshack's just the goat. I mean, it's so good. Dangerfield and Murray, and it's just a really good combo of stuff.
All right.
Let's get into this third beer on the flight.
Beer number trace.
What do we got?
So this is the Maple Shade Lager. We actually just tapped this on Thursday. I was between this and the Barktoberfest. So Barktoberfest is actually, I think it's our second best seller, but I went for this one because the name behind it's a little bit more meaningful to me. Maple Shade as a whole, this town has been a big reason that we're doing as well as we are. And I mean, we've been doing fairly well. Like our first 2 months, we've sold over 60 kegs each month. So like we've been doing well. But Maple Shade as a whole, is like I definitely see about 75% of my business are regulars at this point who like coming in and being like, this is my 13th or 14th week here. Like they'll tell me the week it is. And that's how I know how many weeks I've worked in a row.
Sure.
Because they'll come in and remind me, I've been here for 13 weeks. And I'll go, oh, okay, great. But so we thought it was important that, we were between a bunch of names for lagers and I just naming it Maple Shade Lager just because it's going to be like a beer that's on all the time now. Other than like when the Oktoberfest comes on, because that'll just replace it for 2 months and then I'll go right back to the Maple Shade. It was just important to have that name on my board at all times to show like, just a little bit of support for the town. It's been just awesome to us. So it's nice amber lager, 6%, nothing crazy about it. Just a good, easy, malty lager.
Yeah, it's got that good malt to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I definitely think it's important to have something to tie the community in. to your business, any business, whatever it is, and naming something after the town you're in. Really easy way to do it.
I also want to make sure that it was a beer that like a lot of people from this town drink. Maple Shade's a really good blue collar town. Like that's that's why I have the Pilsners and the lagers and stuff. If I had named a 9% beer after Maple Shade, yeah, great, it's the Maple Shade beer, but no one really drink it because it's 9%. So the lager is just like a good way of saying like you can have this at like any time it's 6%. Like thank you. Yeah, the Oktoberfest is really good too. It's a good like clean version of it. Like it's super filtered, but this lager, like I just like that like big maltiness you get from it, but it's not like doesn't feel heavy, but you still get that like big taste.
Yeah, no, really like good malty. This is got a great feel to it.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So before you mentioned that you had planned on working for Blizzard.
Yes.
All right. Although that didn't work out,
did
you also say that you play some World of Warcraft.
I play a lot of World of Warcraft.
Okay.
I have the Horde symbol on the back of my car.
Oh, I get.
Listen, you ride Horde, you die Horde.
We're gonna have to be enemies then. I'm sorry.
So you play with a bunch of girls. Oh, no, that's cool. Yeah. Cool.
The best girls ever.
Yeah, okay, neat. That's real neat. Yeah, enjoy being a human. That's a cool race.
Oh, I ain't no human. I'm a boomkin.
Oh, God. Let me guess, you're a Worgen boomkin, too.
No.
That's better.
So I'm going to step out for a second while they talk about WoW for a while.
Some sort of elf.
I'll come back. We'll talk about beer
All right,
care.
night elf. All right,
We'll talk about beer care later.
Yeah. I'll see you guys in like 20 minutes. We're going to talk
Right.
WoW.
Well, no. I think it's good to have a game that you could play every once in a while. Bring your friends together. I still play with a friend that moved over to Texas.
Yeah.
So that's the way that we get to hang out and communicate together. How long have you been playing?
15 years. I played since beta.
Wow.
Yeah, I've been in that game for a very long time. I take my breaks here and there, but I play that game a lot. I want to say like almost 2.5, probably closing on 3 years of playtime at this point. Wow. It's not good. I'm not proud of it, but my wife plays it too, so it's kind of nice.
One of those things that sounds like it's an accomplishment, and then
and then you're like, I played this game for 3 years, and you're like, oh God, I played this game for 3 years. What have I done? But no, it's cool. Like I have friends in California. Like some of them, like I would say right now, some of my closest friends are on the other side of the country. I talk to them. I honestly probably talk to them more than I talk to my wife, but she also talks to them a lot too. But I talk to them every single day. I talk to her too every day, but we're usually always playing the same game. But they live out in California and like, Colorado and stuff like that. And I see them at BlizzCon. That's like our big time to get together every year. I mean, they didn't do it this year. And when we're supposed to get a house in March, I'm going to have like a big, like a group is called The Leftovers is the name of our guild. So it's like just a bunch of people who kind of didn't like really fit in anywhere. So we're just like the leftovers, and that's kind of like what we had in common. But yeah, they're awesome. Like they'll probably listen to this. So shout out to Jake and Brad and Erica and Brian and Lucas and Alex. I mean, they're just dope people, and like they're some of my closest friends, and it's awesome having that like medium.
And I see that a lot with games like that, where a couple years ago, me and my girlfriend went to her friend's wedding, like her friends from high school, and there was like our table we were sitting at with the other like more local IRL friends, and then there was another table next to us that was full of their guildmates that came in from all over the country.
Yeah.
These people flew from all over the country for a wedding.
I had people who I played Warcraft if they flew in for my wedding, but I had family that couldn't make it. And like, no shot to them. They had real things going on, not like, fuck my family. But like they had real things going on, but like they were like, oh, we're there, like 100%. Yeah.
Drop everything.
They're really good people. I like them a lot.
So what is your main character?
I play a elemental shaman, and I'm also the new race. It's pretty bad because I'm a Valpyra, so everyone just calls me a furry all the time. So I'm playing a tiny little fox person, so that's not great. It's a little rough doing that, but yeah.
It's a little furry-ish.
I'm enhancement this season, but I'm a glutton for punishment. I play a class that's like pretty bad. Like they usually have never been good. It's always a running joke of Warcraft, like, oh, shaman's so overpowered. Like everyone knows they're terrible, but it's what I played for so long, and I have so much time in it. That's kind of just what I do.
So if your character was to walk up to your bar today,
Yeah.
what kind of beer would they order from you?
Shoof. Man, that's a really good question. Damn. I would think that if a shaman came out to my bar, they'd want something like, because they could like commune with the elements, they'd want something like earthy and rich. So I think that the two things that I could give them on tap right now would either be probably the Bach or the Maple Shade Lager we just had to give them that like rich earthiness. That's probably what I think, because they commune with the elements, man. So you got to be in tune with all that stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a great question.
I think my boomkin would probably want a farmhouse or a saison.
I could see that.
Yep.
Being a chicken.
Oh yeah.
Nice. We're doing a saison. We actually just did a thing where, because I think it's, I mean, not to diverge from my favorite thing, which is Warcraft, but I guess we'll talk about beer again. We did a Homebrew Littles thing, we like to call it. So I think it's important because a lot of breweries wouldn't be where they are without that person being interested in homebrewing first. And I don't think that homebrewers in Jersey or really anywhere get enough credit for what they did for the industry. So we do a thing called Homebrew Littles where I put the call out. And we had limited capacity for this one, but hopefully for the next one we'll have higher capacity. And we got about 25 people that came, and they were all homebrewers. And they all came down and, they saw the space and, saw the system. We talked about a bunch of stuff, and then we made a recipe for a beer. So I made a Google Drive that everyone had access to, and they were all throwing things in and ideas. And so we made a collaborative recipe with a bunch of homebrewers. And then we brewed it actually this past Sunday. Josh did with them while I was working. And so, it's like a homebrew beer. So, they all were able to say, we brewed a beer and we're putting it on tap when it comes out in 2 weeks. And then we did what we call our experimental series, where we'll take, a couple kegs off the beer and, flavor it however we want. So we're doing a jalapeno lime, Saison, Birds of Paradise, and grapefruit orange zest one. And then we're doing a lemongrass coconut and something else with dry hopped with Citron Galaxy. But that was, the same thing where it was, I was like, hey, let's get everyone in here to make beer kind of thing. So yeah, we have a Saison coming out in probably 2 weeks for that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Definitely going to have to come back for that.
Yeah.
And being so community based with that is so cool too. That's so important to have.
Yeah.
To get everyone together like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we have the New Jersey Homebrewers Association stuff like that, but I feel like in the industry itself, there are places that really do shine, for homebrews and stuff. I judged a competition for homebrewing probably 2-3 weeks ago at Garden State Brewery down by the Jersey Shore. And it was the same thing where it was I had some beers that I would pick that beer over a brewery any day of the week. And I was just they just don't get enough credit for what they did for the industry. So we want to make sure that they can shine a little bit and put their name on stuff.
Yeah, it's a nice reminder that just about every great brewery that you can think of started as a homebrew.
100%.
Almost all of them.
Yeah.
And I'm even saying almost because I'm sure someone out there jumped right into making a big place, but I can't think of any.
Yeah, I mean, Josh did homebrewing before he did something. I mean, I did very minimal, but the beer stuff for me was all self-taught over the past year and a half for the legal stuff and business side of everything. But yeah, Josh started homebrewing before he did brewing on a bigger system and stuff like that.
We got one more on our flight.
One more on the flight.
What do we got?
This is the Bach. So this is Can You Smell What the Bach is Cooking? The old people's champ. So Bachs, I just feel aren't, again, it's one of those things where there's just not enough of them. Same with the Pilsner. So it was either between this and Murphy's Law, which is a stout, but it's an export stout, so I guess it's a different style of stout. But the Bach for me is it gives you that same roasted taste and that chocolatey kind of malty feel to it, and being a dark beer, but not the heaviness or sweetness that you get from being a dry stout or an imperial and stuff like that. So it gives you a nice. I'm all about finding a middle ground for stuff. It's the same reason that I did lagers and pilsners and stuff, but I also do IPAs. Is that I think it's important to have something that's in between. It's we could have done a dry stout or an imperial stout, but I did an export. I could have done a Doppelbock or a Schwarzbier, but I want to do the Bock instead because it's a good between state.
Mm-hmm.
And not a lot of people drink Bocks. They also don't know, when people say, oh, you have a dark beer on tap, I go, well, I have two. And they go, I see a stout. And I go, a box of dark beer. And then they try it and they're like, this is great. Yep. And I go, okay.
I will admit that I do forget to even look for those sometimes. I look for the stouts. I look for the porters.
Well, because those are your big thing. Because this doesn't drink like a dark beer. It almost tastes like it drinks sort of like a lager-ish.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
It drinks like a Schwarzbier, like a black lager, but it's still classified as a dark beer.
Oh, yeah. It's great.
Yeah. It gives you that same feeling of the toasted chocolatiness, but not with all that weight of having a thicker beer.
Okay. Yeah. I got that.
Yeah.
Definitely getting a warming feeling from this one too.
Yeah. You get those from dark beers and stuff like that too, but like I said, I like middle grounds, and I mean this is not even because it's our own beer, but I'm not a big dark beer person, but I like the Bach a lot. Josh, in my opinion, just brews a phenomenal beer, and I'm not saying that I had a couple of his things when he was still at St. Benjamin's. And I always thought he brewed such a solid beer. There's not a lot of frills. And we do weird stuff. We're doing a jalapeno lime Saison. We're using grains of paradise. There's definitely some weird stuff we do. But he brews, when he brews, a Bach or a West Coast. Our West Coast is not going to be this giant, bitter, perfumey beer. It's going to be a clean base with hops in it. So you get that piney bitterness, but it's not like you're, basically eating a pine tree. That's not fun for anyone. Right. But he makes
some people like that.
And there's nothing wrong with that. But I like his West Coast because even after so when we were doing brewing before we opened and stuff, we did home brews and stuff, and we were using our scale recipes. But he did his West Coast, and that was our original paleontologist, which we added one more hop to. So we're doing Centennial, Cascade, and Columbus. But we renamed it Old School. But it was the same thing where it was it sat for 2-3 months, and most people would be like, oh, IPA for 3 months, gross. But West Coasts are great after 3 months because it rounds that pininess out. So it's not as bitter, but you still get that kind of earthy, piney, bitter taste from the hops. But yeah, like he just brews like a good, solid version of whatever he does.
I do like the piney IPAs a little bit more. One of my favorite drinks other than beer is gin. So I
me a
think they
good
pair well together.
Little Gene Hendrix.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys have you're relatively new. Been here a couple months now.
Yeah, Labor Day weekend was my first weekend.
Okay, so yeah, pretty new. We're
Yeah.
we're recording this episode in December 2020.
Yeah.
So for people who are listening later,
It's been a pretty good year so far.
I think I read you guys have had some collaborations.
We've had 2 already.
What have you? Who was it with?
So Axe and Arrow was our first one. When we do our pint, that'll be the first one. So
Okay.
Axe and Arrow, my friends Greg and Josh over there. I knew them from kind of like the IT stuff. Well, I knew Greg from the IT stuff, and I met Josh through Greg. They do Axe and Arrow out in Glassboro. Solid place, right on Rowan, like on campus. Excuse me. So they were the first person I
Yeah, we
reached
just drank
out
4
to.
beers. So
Yeah,
yeah, we burp into these mics a lot.
Okay, I just want to make sure. So we did our first collaboration with them. So we did the black IPA, because not a lot of places do black IPAs, and then we put persimmons in it, because I think that persimmons is like a very underrated fall fruit. No one really thinks, hey, fall fruit. You go like apples and pumpkins. So it's not. Persimmons is a great fall fruit. So we did that with them, and then we just actually tapped, which I'll give you guys, the old after podcast beers. There's a D-Gens from Upcountry is a dry hop Belgian triple we did with the guys over at About the Hops, Nate and Kevin and Brent. So we did that with them, and then I guess a sneak peek is in January we should be doing a collaboration with GSB with Adam and Jason, the guys over there, because I always say you're going to make a beer. Like, we already know we're going to brew a beer. We brew once a week, twice a week now. Like, we're still crushing through beer. So I plan on making this beer anyway. Why not make it with other people? Like, why not do a collaboration? I don't feel like enough places do it. Like, you're going to make the beer anyway. You pay to make the beer. Why not put someone else's name on it and also have your beer at their place? Like, GSB for us is an hour and 15 minutes away almost. So, like, no one down there really knows about us who are, like, regulars there. And same with, regulars at my place don't know GSB. But I know once in a while I find myself down there and I go to their brewery because I know them. And so that for me, it's like, okay, if you have whatever beer we do up, or you're here in Maple Shade, and now you find yourself down in the shore, you're like, oh, I remember, like, I want a beer. I remember there was a beer with Dr. Brewlittles that GSB did. Why don't I go check them out? So you're making the beer already. So, like, why not make it with friends, and why not do a collaboration where it benefits more than one person? Like, it just, not enough places, in my opinion, do collaborations. And I get it. Like, you want your own beer to shine. It's like a weird thing advertising someone else's brewery. But I always stand by the fact, like, I didn't open this place to make money. If I make money, great. I do need money to pay bills. So I want to make a little bit of money. But at the end of the day, like, I want Jersey beer to get better. Like, I want more people drinking craft beer. Like, I want them going all over the place. Because if the industry grows, then I grow with it. But if I grow by myself, it doesn't necessarily mean I'm bringing the industry with me. So I think it's important that if the industry grows, I grow, everyone grows, and it just keeps going and going and going. So it's super important for me to do stuff with other people to get everyone's name out there.
I totally agree. And I understand when people are a little more adverse to kind of sharing the spotlight, maybe.
Oh, I completely get it.
I think that could be a factor. I'm sure there's other factors as well.
Yeah.
But
something like maybe a brewery just wants to do it specifically their way, and they don't want to have to worry about someone else trying to come in and do it a different way or tell them to do something different.
yeah, too many cooks, that kind of thing.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
and I get that. But I love, and we said a couple minutes ago, I love seeing a community aspect to stuff like this. And this really should be a community thing.
And Jersey's really good about that as a whole. Like, no brewery's like, I can't wait till they go out of business. Like, everyone really wants other people to do well because, one, we're so close. And so, like, if I do well, I always recommend, like, Mechanical, James' brewery over in Cherry Hill just opened up.
We were just there. We were there for the opening weekend.
Great dude. I like him a lot. But, like, if I am doing well, I can be like, oh, you want to go on a tour? Go to Eclipse. Go to Mechanical. Go to even Double Nickel. Go to About the Hops. Like, there's 4 or 5 brews in 15 or 20 minutes of me. It's like, why not recommend other people? Because then they'll do the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love, local tours or like, like little loops that you can.
Yeah, we have a Brew Belly, Beer Belly. Beer Belly Tours does a thing for us, or not for us, but shout out to Beer Belly because he'll get a bus and like we're always on a stop. But like the loop here is us and probably now Mechanical, Eclipse, Double Nickel, About the Hops, and he also goes to Trainwreck Distillery. So like he does like a loop, but like it's great for us because every time he does that, yeah, great. There's 4 breweries in it, but like I get people that I wouldn't normally get because I'm in that loop.
Yeah, people who would be local for Double Nickel, and then they end up discovering this place on the way.
100%.
And now you got them too.
Yeah.
And now they belong to 2 breweries.
Yeah.
Right. We've got our pint here too.
Yeah. So
What do
this
we
is it on nitro too. So we did like just a regular like beer gas keg, which is done really well. But I like IPA, especially black IPAs on nitro, because you can kind of get that like my favorite word to say. So I'll get really close
That's
to
like
you get
goth
that
black too.
creamy mouthfeel. It's the worst word to describe beers, and it's used so much.
You are not the first person on the
It's
show to
awful.
say that.
I
Too.
hate it so much. I don't mind moist. I don't mind soppy. I don't mind any of that. But when someone's like, "Yeah, this beer has a real creamy mouthfeel," I'm like, "Oh God, Jesus!" Like it's an awful descriptor.
Moist as a word is not like as a word. I mean, it's a weird sounding word
but
or
it's not
whatever.
bad. It's like whatever.
And the words mouthfeel separately don't make you sound like a pedophile. But together,
mouthfeel does.
creamy mouthfeel.
It's actually the team. So whenever we play trivia, it is my go-to trivia name, and people do not like it, which is why I love it.
Oh, of course.
Anytime I can bring like a little bit of personal like or uncomfortableness or misery, I'm like, I'm all about it.
I mean, I understand it. Beer goes in the mouth. We're not going to talk about how beer feels on the hand.
Yeah.
And it could be worse. We could be talking about like stomach feel or intestine feel. So
Yeah,
I think
it's got a
mouthfeel is better.
Real creamy lower intestine feel. Yeah, you don't want that.
Honestly, that's less creepy.
Is it though?
That's a little less molestish. Like
don't
it's
know.
a little less molestery.
It definitely. Okay, I'll give you that for sure. They're both gross.
Like I feel like every time you say the word creamy mouthfeel, your minimum distance away from a school increases.
Yeah, you got to knock on doors. Hey, I'm new to the neighborhood.
I said creepy
Can you
mouthfeel
sign this
3 or
paper
4
for
times.
me? Yeah. Oh, you know what I didn't realize that we did, by the way? Hey, thank you for coming out. I
Dude,
appreciate it.
thanks for having us, man.
Thanks
It's
for
fun
having
show.
us.
Yeah, of course.
This
Prost.
is amazing.
Thank you.
And I think it tastes incredible.
yeah.
I don't know if it's just because of it being on nitro. It's so sweet and creamy and really nice.
Honestly, the persimmons is a big factor in that. So nitro beers in general are really good. Like when we did our banana bread off of a stout we put like a keg of it on nitro and did really well. But
Side note, that was the beer that I talked about for like a month after we came
the
here.
monkey business?
Yes.
Thank you very
Oh my God, that was awesome.
Yeah, that turned out
This
really
beer,
good.
and I know we're not drinking it here, but I'm going to talk about this beer anyway. This beer tasted like you took like a wadded handful of like, not even like yesterday's banana bread. Like when it got solid a little
Yeah.
bit, like
right out the oven.
yeah, and then like just like ate it all in one shot.
That
but,
beer
like,
was so
it
simple
was
to
so
make.
good.
It was the same Murphy's Law with just Hefeweizen yeast.
Wow. Then
And on nitro, so you got that creaminess from it. But that's the thing is like
if it's that easy, I mean, I'll
Yeah.
wait till you make some more.
there you go,
man.
yeah. It's
I'll
not hard.
put a pause in the episode.
It's not hard to make a decent
you
beer,
whip
but
it
like
up.
he kept it simple. We just used a different yeast, and we made sure that like the banana notes came through and put it on nitro and did great. But yeah, the persimmons does a lot of the work on the
Yeah,
nitro.
that's not the beer we're talking about. So
Yeah.
back to this.
Yeah,
beer.
don't remind people about that beer because that beer and the pumpkin beer were the two most requested beers I got this year. We gave people some pumpkin, much to my chagrin. Still gave them some pumpkin.
I understand.
Yeah, it's tough.
Everyone's
I'll still-
reluctance.
I'm gonna say it now. I'll still never do a lactose beer. I'll do a lactose stout. I'll never do a lactose IPA. I just won't do it. But the persimmons is a lot of the heavy lifting, and that kind of brings out like that big creaminess because the persimmon as a fruit is a very like sweet, creamy fruit already. It's like weird because it looks like a tomato, but like kind of has a citrusy orangeness to it.
I'm glad you described it because I was just thinking this whole time I have no idea what that is.
Not a lot of people do, which is why like it's a big reason I wanted to use it because it's a fall fruit.
Like persimmons. He was that asshole from Kiss.
Yeah.
Right.
You
Yeah.
gotta wait till they're ripe though, because otherwise they don't taste right. I have a tree outside my house that grows them, and like
Yeah,
never-
well, there's two. There's Fuyu persimmons, which we use that are a little bit more like favorable if they're not ripe. But then there's another one that I forget, which is probably the one you have, where it's like it starts out if you don't drink or eat it ripe, it is a very bitter fruit. Like it does not taste good.
And if you're watching this on YouTube and you're looking at me dicking on my phone, yes, I just Googled what a persimmon is.
Persimmons, yeah, they're great. They're
Sorry,
weird looking.
not sorry.
They look like an orange tomato and taste
yeah.
like a mushy citrusy fruit, and it's delicious.
they
This
taste
is
here.
great. I'm a huge fan of any dark beers on nitro.
Yeah.
That's like instant. Like that's like a cheat code for me.
Yeah. Well, the fun thing is that like it's still an IPA. Like the only thing that differs is the color of it. Like it's still use Citra hops, still brewed it like an IPA, but just change the color of it. So you have like that black IPA.
Yeah, and it is black. It is like blickety
Yeah,
black.
it's jet black.
It is like
You can't see through that beer.
This is like Hot Topic 1999 black.
Oof, this is My Chemical Romance. Oh, you're not my real mom. Black. Yeah.
It's not just a phase mom black.
Oh God. I definitely went through that phase. I'm not proud of it, but I did it. I had Junko jeans.
Oh, so did I.
I had Jenko shorts up to last year.
Were they shorts or were they more like?
Well, I'm pretty short as it is,
capris.
so
yeah.
they were.
they like Kevin Smith shorts where they were down to like his ankles,
yes,
like Calvin and Hobbes?
yes. So they
Yeah.
were more like capris. Yes.
Yeah, they're hard rock capris.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with wearing man prees, man. Embrace who you are.
They're the Limp Bizkit version of Capri's.
Oh boy.
The biggest problem is the pocket is so big. I put my phone in there. I have to put my whole arm in there. To go.
I did that thing where I wore like 30-inch ankle Jenkos.
Yeah.
And because it was 1998, we all played hacky sack like a lot. And I learned how to catch it in the pants.
Yeah. Yeah, I had that, and then I had the. I actually found it recently when I was visiting my parents a few months ago. My old Element chain wallet. That was fun.
Yeah.
Found the old chain wallet, the Velcro chain wallet. Thank you very much. Oh yeah.
I had a chain wallet until I was probably way too old.
Yeah. Do you still have a chain wallet? Is that what you're trying
I
to say?
don't right now.
Okay.
No.
I wasn't allowed to have a chain wallet, so when I went away to college, I bought a chain wallet.
Wow, what a rebel.
I know, right? Dyed my hair and everything.
Screw you, Mom. I'm getting a wallet.
I did. You can't make me not get a wallet, Mom.
It's going to have a piece of metal on it, too.
One day, Mom, I'll show you. I'll show all of you. I'm going to get that wallet.
Sit in his dorm. Like, I got it. I finally got it. I showed them all.
Hi, Mom. I know you're one of our only fans. Hi, Mom.
I at least DIY'd my chain wallet. I actually, I got a regular wallet, punched a hole in it, and then went to a PetSmart type of place and got like one of those like choke
Choker
chain,
collars. I mean, listen, if it works,
and
it
then
works.
fixed it together with key rings.
God, I've had the same wallet for like probably 15
It's
years.
like the most like DIY punk thing I ever did.
Yeah. Oh, don't get me started on my pop punk phase. Oof. Little Hawthorne Heights, little red jumpsuit.
I did see Newfound Glory 3 times. That was fun.
Nothing wrong with NFJ. Nothing wrong with them at all.
Probably a good show.
Most of the music I play here is the angsty stuff I grew up on. Blink-182, Sum 41, Bowling for Soup,
All right.
Real Big Fish. All that stuff gets played here. Or I'll also play like just randomly like a full live concert like Dave or Bare Naked Ladies. Like my music choice is definitely weird here, but we've actually gotten reviews saying like great music, and that makes me feel pretty good because I was like,
You can tell he's a true fan because they called him Dave.
Yeah.
And we all know who he's talking about.
yeah, it's everyone knows.
Dave Mustaine, right?
Yeah.
No, little Dicky,
Yeah. Obviously, yeah. Duh.
obviously. Dude, this is fantastic beer. Thank you so much, man.
Yeah, of course.
Where can people find more about Dr. Brewlittle?
So we have website, Instagram, Facebook. So website's drbrewlittlesbeer.com. Emails info@drbrewlittlesbeer.com. And then if you Google, we're pretty good about our SEOs. We're usually the first to come up, if not the first. Dr. Brewlittles Facebook or Instagram. I'm the one who runs all the social sites. So like if you send me an email or the contact form on our website or comment on a photo, like I'm the one responding to everything because I think it's important to be like, if I own the place, like be the face of the place.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like one of my jobs.
So if you want to compliment them on his beard, you can just send him an email.
Hey. Or if you want to tell me I did something wrong, you can send me an email too. We've gotten, we had a few people actually. We did, I like naming beers like maybe not appropriate things.
Such as?
So one of our first things I got an email about was we did our wit beer and a blueberry wit beer. So our wit beer was Get Wit It. No emails about that. I did do a blueberry wit beer that I called I Just Blew Myself. And it was from Arrested Development.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it was great. And we had...
Solid reference.
Yeah, shout out. She's never going to see this, but shout out Patty Barrett. I'll say her name. I don't care. She sent me an email saying that she didn't feel welcome in our space because I named a beer I Just Blew Myself. And then I explained the joke. And she very finally didn't feel good about like reading that name, but felt comfortable enough to say, well, I know, send me an email to someone she's never met. Well, I think we all know you made a joke about oral sex. And I went, you're cool saying oral sex in an email, but you won't be cool with I just blew myself? And then we did a beer just shucking around. And I got one email, I forget who it was from, or I'd shout your name out, who said that I don't appreciate you using profanity in your beer. And I said shucking. Like, what do you want? Like, right. I don't. So, I mean, I don't know. I like making stuff weird. We just did off our barley wine, wet ass peppers. I had a WAP beer. Yeah, that was great. We did Thai chili peppers in a barley wine. People loved it, and they love the name, and they love just being able to say in a brewery, like, "Can I get a wet ass pepper?" I'm like, "Of course you can."
Too.
I would make people say the full name. Like, "Can I get the pepper beer?" I'm like, "No, I don't know what beer you're talking about."
What are you talking about, bro?
Can you be more descriptive for me? How is the pepper dry? Is it what?
Literally, no idea what we're talking
Yeah.
about. If they don't like, saucy beer names, they're gonna hate like guitar pedals.
Yeah,
That's like my other like massive geekdom.
Yeah.
No, you want to talk about like one of the biggest selling pedals of all time, the Big Muff Pie.
Oh, that's a great name for a
man.
pedal. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I just kind of, most of the names we think is between like me, Josh, and Chris, and I don't know. I think it's fun to name beers. Like, it's like half the fun of owning this place is like being able to call it whatever you want.
Yep.
So like, I just named. I was like, we had our barley wine. We were thinking of a name for it, and I'm like, I did Chris Barley's River Van. Like, like stuff like that. It's just like fun.
It's great.
I got to find some
And
entertainment.
no one can stop you. Not even, what was her name again?
Patty Barrett.
What was her full name?
Patricia Barrett.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't care. She sent me an email. I mean, there's probably plenty of them, but also I'm sorry if they find you.
You send your angry emails to info@DrBrewlittles.
And I will write you a full response. You can send me whatever email you want. Hate mail. Maybe like no pictures. Like words are fine. I just no pictures, please.
That's all I got. Walter, you got anything else?
We had a lot of fun here. Thank you very much for taking the time.
Looking
of
forward
course.
to coming back here since last time we were here.
Yeah, and I want to say I was like, like Sean, you guys, but like, thank you for doing this because a lot of the times, like, people don't. There's no really like good way to listen about craft beer. Like you kind of have to go to places. So having like a podcast that people you guys took time out of your day to come down and drink beer and talk to like someone you didn't know is like a neat thing for me. So like I always say thank you to you guys because without you guys, no one really knows that much about craft beer. So I think it's super important that like craft beer podcasts become a bigger thing because it's such a good way to learn about different places without having to like make a huge trip and like you can learn about it before you go there. And I don't know. So like thank you very much for
Appreciate
listening
that so much.
Yeah,
man.
of course.
And we always say,
why we do
we're less of a beer podcast as we are a brewery podcast.
Yeah.
We like talking about the place and the people and stuff like that. And the beer's cool. I love the beer.
Yeah.
But I want to know like who made it, where'd it come from?
Yeah.
This is what I like.
Yeah. That's the best thing to talk about too. Is like because
And according to our download numbers, at least like 7 other people like it
that's
too.
a good.
So
That's solid though. You know what's hey, that's more than 6.
it's at least 15% more. Than
And
6.
after this, we're gonna have at least double digits. We're getting to that. We're getting to that secret 10. We're getting to that mystical 10.
So if you want to help us get our numbers, we just drank a lot of beer, by the way.
Yeah.
If you want to help us get our numbers up there past that 10 mark, you can go find us, flightinapintpodcast.com. Follow us on Instagram at flightinapint. Find our YouTube channel as well. You can, if you go to flightinapintpodcast.com, all of our links are there. You can go find all of that. We're going to take some pictures around here, leave them up on the at Flight in a Pint Instagram. Give us a like and a follow and all that kind of stuff. Give us a rating on Apple. That actually really does help us a lot. Takes you 3 seconds to do it, and it does help us a ton. And if you're really feeling generous, we got a Patreon too. You can get some cool stuff there. But I'll let you go check that out. That's all we got today, right? Anybody else? Any last?
I want to offer one more thing.
Yeah,
so I want
sure.
to put it at the end so they have to listen to the episode. So if they listen to this episode and they come in here, they can get a Flight and Pint on me. They can only get one. But if they listen to the episode and they come in and say, I listen to Flight and a Pint, and I heard you say this, they can get a Flight and a Pint, and it'll be on me. So
That's
Thank you very
the
much.
secret code word.
yeah,
is very
the secret
generous
code
of
word
you.
is I listen to Flight and a Pint.
It's very generous of you. And everyone who is listening, definitely come out to Dr. Brewlittles. Whether you come out for the free flight or the pint, come out, check it out, enjoy some great beer and some good company.
Thanks, appreciate it.
So next time, my name is Jason Portizo.
I'm Walter Wilson.
This has been Flight in a Pint. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time.
This has been a JTP Audio podcast. Thanks for listening.